Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to quickly discuss The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 12, Reunion Part 3. First things first, I'm not going to go over every single thing that happened. It's going to be short, sweet, and concise because quite frankly, I am sick and tired of discussing the foolishness, especially with Teresa and Jen. But with all that being said, let's just jump right on into it because we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up this last part with Andy telling them all to shut up, be quiet, because he wants to finish up this show because he has dinner reservations. I said, I know that's right. And the way they were carrying on, I would scream for them to shut up too. So Andy circles back over to Jen. He wants more details about this affair. He starts it off by asking her how long was Bill's affair with the other woman, and Jen says that it lasted about 2 months. Personally, I don't believe that it was a 2-month situation. I believe that it was longer than that. Okay? Like I said, Bill looks like he has been checked out of that marriage. So now we learn some more information that during this troubling time, Bill took a trip to Miami by himself to clear his head. And because she was devastated about this affair, she still didn't trust him and she followed him to Miami with her brother. So she goes on to say that her brother called up the hotel and pretended like he was Bill, and that's how she found out what room he was staying in. So she says that she burst into the room and she surprised him, and he actually became turned on by her following him to Miami. And so that trip ended up reigniting the passion in their marriage. And so they had a great time. And she said that from there on out, she would never talk about the affair ever again. I said, that story sounds like absolute BS. I think that Jen is a major pick-me, like I have always said. And I think that she's one of those women who feels like a man is going to do what a man does and cheat. That's really what I think. I don't think that Jen was ever over that affair. I just think that she's one of those women who just turns a blind eye to things, and as long as the money keeps rolling in, as long as she can say that she's still married to a man, then that's really all that matters. I just have a no tolerance policy when it comes to cheating, so I was rolling my eyes listening to Jen just talking nonsense. Like, girl, shut up. And I personally believe that if Bill is cheating on her, because there are some rumors that he allegedly is, I just really don't see Jen divorcing him. I see her putting up with it. Me personally, I'll never understand that logic or that reasoning, but hey, everybody's different. But it just couldn't be me. So now Andy's asking Jen if she feels like her and Bill would have been in a better place had they discussed this when it happened 10 years ago. So now Jen goes on to say that had they discussed this when it happened, she wouldn't have broke down as much. And then we learn that she didn't really cry about it when it first happened. She had to keep it a secret from her parents and her in-laws. I was just shaking my head because the way I would have aired Bill out the minute that I found out about that affair, it would have been slapping him with the divorce papers the next day, and I would have put him on blast. The whole family would have known. I would have CC'd his co-workers, everybody. I would have put a billboard up on the Jersey Turnpike letting him know this man cheated on me while I was pregnant. Like, are you kidding me? Keeping it a secret for what? I was here for Miss Margaret saying, Jen, to be honest with you, you've been so villainous these past 4 years. Like, I was in shock when you were breaking down the way you were breaking down. Because you came on this show saying that your whole life was perfect, your marriage was perfect. So I pretty much thought you were faking when you were crying so hard. But turns out you were hurt to your core about this affair. And Margaret put the cherry on top when she said, if your life were so amazing, you wouldn't have been crying the way you were crying this season. And I said, exactly. I mean, I was never fooled by this act that Jen was putting on when she first came on the show, because anybody who brags the way she does is very insecure. And when we were finding out that her and Bill were only having sex once a month, I don't know any healthy relationship or marriage That's amazing, but y'all are only having sex once a month. So I was like, girl, bye. And then her crying and complaining about how he was always working. I already knew that something was up in their marriage from jump. So I was never fooled. I never bought the facade that Jen was trying to sell. I could see right through it. But that's like for anything. If you have to tell people that you're rich, if you have to tell people that you're pretty and look good, are you really those things? When you're really that girl, you never have to say that you're that girl. People just know it. And Jen responding to Andy's question about where they're at now in their marriage. And Jen saying, well, you know, Bill's a great man who did a bad thing, and it's not all black and white, and we both want the same thing, a close-knit family, and you don't just give that up when the going gets tough. And when I tell you, I am so tired of people acting like cheating is part of for better or for worse in a marriage. For better or for worse is for if somebody gets sick, if the money runs out, stuff like that, not infidelity. So irritating to me when you hear like people who've been married for a long time and like, oh yeah, stayed by his side when he was cheating, had outside kids, but we got through it. And it's like, no. There's nothing cute about that. There's nothing romantic about that. Like, what are y'all saying? That's not a for better or for worse. I just really hope and pray that nobody is sitting up here taking relationship advice from Jennifer Aydin. Now, you guys know I was already annoyed at this next part. Andy goes on to read a viewer's question asking Margaret if she regrets hurting Jennifer's children by revealing this affair. So Margaret says, you know what, if I would have known, I would have never done this, and I'm really sorry about that. I said, if I were Margaret, I wouldn't be apologizing for a damn thing. Because one, Bill is the one who hurt his children. When he stepped out on their mother and had sex with another woman who wasn't his wife, he did that. He's the one who put his family in this position to deal with all this mess, not Margaret. And Jen is a fool to think that this affair would not have gotten out. Whether Margaret said something or not, it was going to come to the light. Also, like I said in my last recap, when you decide to get on reality TV, especially if you have children, that is going to alter everybody's lives. So if you want your kids to have a normal childhood and not learn certain things about their parents, then don't get on TV. But to blame Margaret for all of this is ridiculous. Bill is the one at fault. I will always have all the smoke for the man. He should have never put his family in this predicament in the first place. And did Jackie receive an apology about her kids hearing those rumors about Evan cheating on her? You want to be mad at every damn body else except the main person who caused all this mess. There would be nothing to tell had Bill never stepped out on you. So now we jump to all the husbands coming out and joining the wives. And we started off with Andy questioning Frank about his new living situation, him living with Dolores' ex-boyfriend David, how that's going. You guys know what I think about that. That is a hot, raggedy mess. And Dolores is nicer than me because if I were her, I would not be speaking to Frank. How dare you live and be best friends with my ex-boyfriend who doesn't even want to speak to me? Like, how does that work? Andy goes on to ask Frank what he thinks about Dolores' new boyfriend, Paulie. Paulie and Frank don't really see eye to eye. Frank tried to invite him out to dinner, and Paulie wasn't having it. He calls Paulie Buzz Lightyear, and Dolores is pissed. She's like, don't talk about my man, like that was uncalled for. I think it's time for Dolores to put some distance in this relationship with her and Frank. You have a new man now. You and Frank can be cordial, you guys can be cool, but y'all being as close as you are, like, it's enough of that. Like, you need to just, again, put some distance in between y'all. So now we change gears in the conversation, and Andy starts asking Louis about that infamous video where he is shirtless on the beach with all these guys, and he's proposing to his ex. So Andy's like, so what's all that about? Because you said that it was a breakup video, but we see you proposing. So Louie's talking about he was in a toxic relationship and he was the only single guy at that retreat. Everybody else was married. And they told him to say how he felt to his ex on the camera. So he chickened out and didn't want to break up with her. So that's why he proposed to her instead. And then he said that when he came home, she told him that she wanted a prenup and $1 million. So now Joe Gorga starts clapping and he's like, thank you, finally the truth. Like, see how easy that was? Margaret says, exactly, that's all I was saying. Like, just state the truth, state what happened, and it will all go away. And of course, Teresa can never be wrong. So she's just sitting there with her face all twisted up. And so she says, well, Margaret, if you would have just told me, like, you know, he didn't explain it right, then I would have understood. Now, Teresa, we all know that that's a bold-faced lie. You can't hear anybody offering you any constructive criticism or piece of advice. And when Margaret said, girl, you already know that that's a lie. Like, you would have been pissed off at me if I would have told you that privately, one-on-one. So stop it. And you know it's bad when Andy's calling you out on your stuff, because even Andy said, Teresa, you would not have been receptive if Margaret had told you one-on-one. Baby, when Louis admit that Margaret was right all along, and when he said, I'm not mad at Margaret and I agree with everything that she said, I said, talk about vindication. And Teresa was pressed. And when Andy asked her, did you hear what Louis just said? Her face was stuck. Because, like I said, Margaret didn't do anything wrong. Any friend would have questions if their good friend was dating somebody who had all these crazy allegations swirling around them. Also, all these stories were already out about Louis before Margaret had ever said anything about it. She was only repeating what she had seen in the blogs. So Teresa being upset with Margaret makes no sense. It's illogical. And I'm not saying that you have to like Margaret, but we can be fair and we can be objective. Margaret didn't say anything that they hadn't seen before. It was already out there. All Margaret was trying to say was, hey, you might want to get ahead of this story and let the truth out now before things get worse. So now Andy brings up the other allegations with Louis being allegedly abusive, him demanding sex 4 times a day, him slashing ex-girlfriend's tires, and all the other craziness going on. So Louis denies it all. He says that as for the domestic violence charges, him and his ex-wife got into it about divorce and their kids, and she called the police on him. He also goes on to say that it's unfair how when people leave relationships, they get to spew all these lies about the other person. All I'm going to say about that is, look, everybody can't be lying. I mean, he has multiple allegations with multiple women. Okay, he has road rage incidents. This one is saying that, you know, he hit her. Another one is saying he slashed their tires, this, that, and the third. Everybody cannot be making up stories. Everybody can't be jealous and bitter. So now Teresa has to interject. She's being annoying and throwing out jabs towards Margaret. And Margaret's like, Teresa, why wouldn't I want you to be happy? Like, let's think about that for a minute. It's like, I don't understand why Teresa is just fixated on hating Margaret the way that she does. Like, again, Andy was going to ask these same questions to Louis whether Margaret had brought this up or not. All of this stuff was out there. It was public record. So why are you so mad at Margaret for asking questions? Now they change gears in conversation. Andy's asking, what would Louis' dream wedding be? And Louis says, well, you know, honestly, it would just be us going down to the courthouse and having the reception at a diner like they did in Sex and the City. I was like, shut up. You did not get with a reality star to have a simple wedding down at the courthouse, so please stop. So now we turn to Bill and Jen. Andy's asking Bill how he felt when Margaret revealed his affair at Teresa's pool party in the first episode of this season. So Bill says that he was mad at Margaret, but he was more mad at himself because if he hadn't have done this, they wouldn't be in this predicament in the first place. And I said, finally, a little accountability. But if we're being honest, you shouldn't be mad at Margaret at all because this was all you're doing. And again, you and your wife are foolish if you thought that this affair would never get out. If Margaret didn't bring this up, somebody else would have. And like Margaret had already said, when you guys joined this show, people were already saying, hey, that new girl, he's cheating on her. He was having an affair with one of the women in his office. So people already knew. So now Margaret interjects and she's like, Bill, I just want to let you know that I didn't mean to put you in a vulnerable position and I apologize. So now Jen interjects and she's like, well, our kids were collateral damage. Margaret's like, Jen, I'm not doing this with you. We've already talked about the kids and how they were hurt. I'm not rehashing this again. So now Jen says, well, I want you to apologize in front of Bill so that Bill can hear it. I was like, how dare you? As nasty and as vile as Jen is, but she wants all the apologies. She's just the only one who's just so fragile. I can't stand Jen. I think I might dislike her more than I dislike Teresa. At least with Teresa, you know what you're getting. With Jen, she likes to straddle the fence, say some slick stuff, and then act like a victim when you give it right back to her. I can't stand her. Now Andy goes on to ask Bill how he felt when Joe Gorga said that he should have said something to his wife after Jen called him a bitch boy and all that stuff went down. So Bill says, look, he's entitled to feel how he feels. So now Jen interrupts yet again. And you could tell that Andy was a bit annoyed because he was like, well, Jen, it's the men's turn to be speaking right now. But of course, in true Jen fashion, she just won't shut up. So she's like, you know what, Joe? It's just really comical how you feel like my husband would pick your side over my side. Like I'm his wife. Of course he's going to stand by me. I said, really, girl? So what would you call what he was doing when he was cheating on you? Is that standing by you? He chose another woman over you. So you talking about, I'm his wife. Okay, that didn't mean anything to your husband when he was cheating on you. Jen is just such an easy read. There were so many times I was like, oh my gosh, if I were on that couch, Jen would be red for filth. So now the whole Jersey Shore incident gets brought up. Remember when Melissa and Jen were about to throw hands at each other and then Jen kicked them all out of the house. So Jen's like, you guys were all ganging up on me. So now Andy's like, well, Jen, you do know that even Bill said that you were out of line. So now Jen's like, wait, what? Like you said that, Bill? Bill, did you say that? And I couldn't stop laughing at how quiet Bill was. And I was also really happy when Bill said he'd be upset if Melissa called him a bitch boy. I said, thank you. And Jen was just sitting there looking so dumb. And I was really irritated when Jen tried to get on Evan. She was like, you know what, Evan? I didn't like that comment that you made saying that my husband is an accomplice. And it's like, he had every right to say that. You were sitting up here digging into his business and accusing him of cheating when he wasn't cheating on his wife. So he had every right to feel how he felt. And I was really happy when Evan said to Jen, but Jen, I've never done anything to you. So can you understand how I feel about you digging into my life like that and spreading these rumors that aren't true? And she was sitting there with nothing to say. And Jen trying to pin everything on Frank, saying that Frank brought the rumors to the forefront. It was like, girl, just shut up. You're not smart. Be quiet. You're digging yourself into an even bigger hole. And when Andy called you out and said, Jen, you're not sorry about anything. You're just sorry that you got caught digging. And when Jen kept saying, me and Bill tell each other everything, okay? And it was a conversation. Like, I wasn't digging. It was just a conversation. So I said, oh, it's a conversation about Jackie and Evan's marriage, But when it comes to somebody talking about you and Bill's marriage, now it's digging. Got it. The double standards are absolutely insane. And I was so mad that nobody said that. Jen and Teresa are the epitome of they can dish it out, but they can't take it. Because how dare you want to sit up there and dig about some alleged rumors, but when somebody exposes the actual tea in your messed up marriage about your husband cheating on you, now it's the worst thing in the world and it's so evil and oh my gosh, our kids were hurt hearing this and I can't believe that. Now it's all that. But when you were doing that to somebody else, it was just a conversation. So now Andy dismisses the husbands, and right before they go, Louis says, "May I just make an announcement? The company that I founded let me go. They made me step down because of all the negative stuff being said about me in the press." Teresa at this point is pissed that Louis just revealed that, okay? She did not want anybody to know. But I said, baby, it's already in the press about Louis and these 5 lawsuits against him, okay? So it's better that he came clean about him having to step down. And I was happy that Louis has a crumb of sense because he added that he doesn't blame anybody for this. He's at peace with everybody and he knows that it's nobody's fault for what happened to him. So now Teresa's talking under her breath about how she's upset, she's pissed off, and she's blaming Margaret, how she can't stand Margaret. I was like, girl, you're just a sick individual. Because regardless of Margaret opening her mouth, this was still going to be in the press. What aren't you getting? What's not clicking? I mean, baby, at this point, everybody's going at it, and Andy is so pissed, he screams at the top of his lungs for them to shut up. So now Andy goes on to ask Louis if he blames Margaret for any of this. Louis says no, not at all. She's just doing her job. Of course, Teresa jumps right back in.
And you're gonna always get it again and again and again.
Talk about how she can't stand Margaret, how she blames Margaret. And so Margaret is like, girl, shut the F up. So now they start going back and forth. Louis calming Teresa down and telling her to please stop. The husbands finally go, and before they go, Louis and Margaret are talking. And when I tell you that Teresa's face was just so pissed, I'm glad that Louis is talking to Margaret and acknowledging that she had no part in what's going on with him. That regardless, this is all going to come out in the wash anyhow. While I still feel like something in the milk ain't clean with Louis, I will say that he displayed a touch of class by giving Margaret a hug and being nice to her and telling her that he didn't blame her at all. So now the husbands are gone and Andy brings up Teresa's disgusting, deplorable behavior at Nashville when she threw the drinks and the plates at Margaret. So Teresa says that she already apologized. I said, when? I didn't hear any apology. All I heard was some half-ass BS and you justifying why you did it. But in Teresa's delusional and pea brain, that's an apology. So she goes on to say how she was upset with herself for doing that, how it's not her, and how she was pushed to her breaking point. If someone asking some questions does all that to you, it might be time for you to get some help. So now Andy interjects and says, look, Teresa, if I had a friend and they were dating somebody who had all this stuff surrounding them, I'd have some questions too. So Teresa says, well, I understand that, but if I felt it was true, then I would, believe it and I would listen. And it's like, Teresa, you're just so desperate for love. So you're not trying to hear anything that anybody has to say about Louis. So now Teresa goes on to say that Margaret brought all this up and how she's speaking to his ex-girlfriends. So Margaret says, what are you talking about? I'm not speaking to any of his exes, or why do you keep saying that? Then Margaret goes on to say, I thought that you were a great person, but now I think that you're a psycho. Teresa gets upset, they go at it, and then Teresa goes on to say yet again how she never dug stuff up. Margaret at this point is so irate, she starts screaming, and she says, I never dug anything up, like stop saying that. And I was so happy when Andy read the viewer question asking Teresa, why does she fall out with everybody who challenges her? Like, nobody can ask her a question, nobody can offer any critique without her getting mad and ever speaking to them again. And then when they said, maybe it's not everybody else, maybe it's you, and she just sat there looking so dumb, I said, thank you. I was so happy that Andy read that question. I said, oh my gosh, Teresa is really sick. It's like a dictatorship. If you say one thing that she does not want to hear, all hell breaks loose. Why are you so mad that Margaret has asked a few questions? Because deep down inside, you know that something isn't right. And you don't want to admit it to yourself or anybody else. So the reunion is winding down. Andy apologizes for losing his temper and yelling at them. And I said, baby, I would not be apologizing for a thing. They got out of line. He's the host. He signs their checks. He had every right to tell them all to shut up. But we see the ladies share some final words. Jackie says that the show has saved her life because the whole world is holding her accountable. Dolores says that no matter how much they might fight, she wouldn't want to share these couches with anybody else but them. Melissa says that her daughter making a full recovery brings her a lot of joy, and it shows her that she made the right decision in terms of them moving. Jen just lying through her teeth talking about how this season it really taught her how to learn and grow from her mistakes. I said, girl, please be quiet. You're going to go back to being the same old terrible person that you've been these past 4 seasons. Like, stop. And then we have delusional Teresa saying that this season was really hard for her because she found the love of her life, but people try to tear him down. I said, you know what, Teresa? You're a lost cause. I've given up. If you want to continue with this narrative that Margaret is the enemy, then so be it. But yeah, the ladies ended off with a champagne toast, and that's where season 12 officially ends. Let me just say that while this was a very entertaining season, it was just way too dark for my taste. This reunion aggravated me to no end. I mean, my blood was boiling. And like I told you guys in the part 1 and part 2 recap, I'm on the fence about watching or even reviewing season 13 because it's going to be more of the same, and I really don't have the patience or the mental capacity to deal with it. Teresa being on her BS, like, I just can't. To all my Teresa fans, I hope that you don't hate me too badly, and come and join me for Atlanta and Beverly Hills and Dubai, okay? But y'all, thank you so much for watching my recap. I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.